I'm Phil Brock. This is Brock, your blog, and today we're going to talk about water conservation and our water resources in the city of Santa Monica. You know, I'm here with Gil Borboa. He is the Water Resources Manager for the city of Santa Monica. Gil, it's so nice to see you again.
Good to see you too, Phil.
And tell me, what does a Water Resources Manager do?
You know, water is a resource that we all take for granted, and as much as we think it's always going to be there, we put a lot of time and effort into maintaining that water and making sure it shows up in your tap every day. So, for Santa Monica, it's something that we've taken very seriously, from the production side, the delivery side, on into conservation.
Now, you aren't the one who fills all the little plastic water bottles.
No, we don't fill plastic water bottles. Actually, we provide city water to any city function, which is tap water. And we encourage anybody, when you're out at a restaurant, ask for tap water. It's really good.
And you know, really, the plastic water bottles that people use in Santa Monica, they don't need to use them because our water quality is great.
It is very good. You know, the water quality here is such that we meet all state and federal requirements. And we get calls about whether or not you should have a filter under your sink or anything like that. And the answer to that is, if you want to remove some of the chlorine taste that you think you might be tasting, that'll do it. But it's not going to change the quality of your water. It's not going to make it safer to drink. It's just that subjective tasting. You get the same result by putting water in a pitcher in your fridge and then you sit there for a while.
And you know, I just want to make it very clear, I'm a native of Santa Monica, drinking Santa Monica tap water all my life. We've been in the second year, third year of a drought cycle. Actually, in Santa Monica, we're really always in a drought cycle in Southern California. And tell me about the plans to improve our water, not water quality, but the amount of water we have to drink.
We're talking about water reliability. And let me put that story in the context of the drought. We're actually into the fifth year of a 5-year drought. And as much as the El Nino conditions were predicted to be this saving weather, the rain happened up north. We normally get about 13.5 inches of rain in Santa Monica. We got around 6 inches last year. We didn't have our conservation plans in place. We still ask people to conserve. And I think that in the bigger picture, people are understanding that it's easy to conserve. It doesn't mean a drastic change in lifestyle, but it really is that new normal. Going forward, we want to make sure that we have water for future generations. Right now, our water is still a mix of local groundwater from our wells and water that we import from Metropolitan Water District. Our mix right now is about 70% local water and 30% imported water. We have a self-sufficiency by 2020 plan where the objective is to try to become self-sufficient in water supply by 2020. That means meeting all of the city's water needs without having to import water.
Is that possible?
It's ambitious. It's going to take some work on everybody's part. But we're on that road. You know, the conservation that people achieved last year really brought the demand down, and that just means less water that we have to produce. Now, on the supply side, it doesn't necessarily mean all of that water comes from wells. It's a mix of conservation and wells and recycled water and stormwater capture. So there's an entire portfolio of water resources that we need to develop to get to self-sufficiency.
Once in an earlier conversation we had, you explained acre feet to me and how much water we believe we have in our aquifer and how many acre feet we use a year in Santa Monica.
Okay. First of all, an acre foot, as the name implies, is an acre of land with 1 foot of water in it. In various units, it's 326,000 gallons approximately. The city of Santa Monica right now uses about 12,000 acre feet a year of water. We sit on a large aquifer that we've been drawing from since the 1920s and 30s.
We're standing right next to one of our reservoirs, and I think you earlier said that reservoir came online in 1918.
Yes, this reservoir dates back to the early part of the 20th century. This is the oldest reservoir we have. And it has been rehabilitated and brought up to date. But it's still useful. It's a very vital function that it has. So, 70% of our water supply is groundwater. We need the groundwater we stand throughout what's called the Santa Monica Basin that extends from the Santa Monica Mountains on the north to a geologic formation called the Bayona Escarpment, basically the hills where Loyola Marymount is on the south. There are various sub-basins that we come from, but an assessment that we conducted in 2013 estimated the total volume in this basin to be around 300,000 acre feet. Groundwater gets replenished by rainfall, primarily in the Santa Monica Mountains. It infiltrates and finds its way underground and then flows kind of in the south-southwest direction. Without rainfall, without replenishment, as long as we keep taking water out, we see groundwater levels fall. And in fact, that's what we're seeing now. It's not to alarming levels yet, but we're seeing groundwater levels starting to fall. And so part of my job is really to watch the entire basin and implement the groundwater management plan that we're working on currently with both the cities of LA and Beverly Hills, because we all overlay this basin that we come from.
And you know, one of the things that I've seen in the LA Times, the newspapers throughout our region, is that they've been sucking too much water, and the actual ground levels of some cities are starting to shrink.
That is correct. In Central California, it's whoever has the money and the means can just drill deeper wells. Fortunately, that's not the way that we operate our basin here. I think that not only Santa Monica, but Los Angeles and Beverly Hills and the other pumpers have some understanding of the need to manage jointly. And in fact, a state legislation in 2014 mandated groundwater management plans throughout the state for the first time ever. California was one of the only states left that really did not have a groundwater management plan in place.
So there is a limit to how much growth we can handle in Santa Monica, depending on the amount of conservation we have and how we manage our water.
The reality is that growth in Santa Monica is on the small side, forecast at about 1% per year.
And our water can handle it.
We can handle that now because we still have this metropolitan water district supply. If we were to try to be strictly on our own local groundwater right now, we'd need to conserve even more than what the city's doing right now. But in the short term, in the next 5 to 10 years, we certainly have enough water between what we believe we have in the ground and how we supplement that from the import. We can meet that.
And you know, it's interesting because we take that 30% of water that we buy from the MWD for granted, but really we're taking from other communities.
The other benefit of becoming self-sufficient is the point that you just mentioned. To the extent that we can reduce our demand for Northern California water, it creates increased reliability on the rest of the metropolitan system. So there are other communities that don't have wells or access to local water. And it really is a regional benefit beyond what we get just here.
So we should be doing our part.
We are doing our part, and the city is right there with us, the community's with us.
Tell me about our water department's plans for the future.
We've got some exciting things planned. I talked about more water supply, so we're looking for where we can actually construct more wells and draw more water into the water and stuff. But beyond that, we have plans for another treatment plant. There is a sub-basin in the groundwater that we call the Olympic sub-basin. It's over near the city yards. And in that area, we are going to build a third treatment plant. We have Chardon now, we have this facility, Arcadia, and we are just completing pilot testing on the new Olympic facility and hope to finish that pre-design later this year and then start into the design process next year and hopefully break ground either late in 2017 or early into 2018. It assists our own reliability because it becomes a standalone facility. So if this facility, the Arcadia treatment plant, had some kind of an upset, we still have a treatment plant over there, we still have water supply wells, so everything would not be dependent on one treatment plant as it is now.
We need to really celebrate the wisdom of our city fathers 1 century ago this year, because they spent their time and effort trying to make sure that Santa Monica had a solid water supply that would keep our city going and keep our city separate from Los Angeles. That was a century ago.
That was a century ago, and that was a wise decision.
We became our own city and stayed an independent Santa Monica because of the fact that we had our own water supply while other cities around us got absorbed into Los Angeles.
That's correct. That was a referendum on a ballot in 1924, and the city voted to remain independent of LA, even though LA at the time had just acquired the Owens Valley supply, and they were eager to annex and
and we managed to stay independent. That's a good move. So, our city council back then did a good job of resisting William Mulholland. So, we can celebrate the fact that we have our own water supply, that Gil, you work for Santa Monica, not for Los Angeles.
I work for the city of Santa Monica, that's correct.
And, when I'm talking to residents in our city, Gil's name comes up often because he's considered one of the most accessible and one of the most knowledgeable city employees in Santa Monica. You are everywhere in our city, and you talk to groups about water conservation, talk about water management a lot in our community. If a group wanted to see you or have you talk to them about water conservation or water management, can they do that?
Absolutely. Give me a call. We're glad to talk to any of the neighborhood associations or any other groups.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I appreciate it. And our residents.
It's my pleasure, Phil. Thank you.
This has been a fascinating conversation with Gil Borboa, the Water Resources Manager for the City of Santa Monica. For Brock and Your Block, I'll see you next time.
Escape to bliss and restore the calm at La Marigo Spa at JW Marriott, Santa Monica. Enjoy a facial, massage, or full-body treatment in an unparalleled atmosphere of peaceful tranquility. Book your appointment today.